We're continuing YouTube Week here on the Rubin Report in partnership with Library to bring you 5 shows with 5 YouTubers in 5 days. Joining me today is a skeptic, a musician, a model, and one of the first guests on the old Rubin Report many lifetimes ago, Jaclyn Glenn. Welcome back to the Rubin Report.
It's been a minute.
It has been like 27 years, I think, since we did this on camera.
Wow, I was really young then, the first time.
How old are you?
Like 29.
You're 29. You were 2 years old.
I was 2 years old. So
and we were talking about atheism and skepticism.
I was a pretty advanced 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you used to be one of the regulars when the Rubin Report was on the Young Turks Network.
Yeah.
It was a different show. We did more of a panel thing and did sort of hot topics.
Yeah, it was more controversial back then.
I don't know about that.
That's
but
true. For you, yeah.
Perhaps. But we did, it was sort of clickbaity. It was just a different thing, but you were one of the regulars on there.
Yeah.
That legitimately seems like a lifetime ago to me.
It feels like a minute. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But here we are again, reunited at last.
Here we are again. You were one of the first people that we brought on. We were like, oh, that's someone doing something interesting on YouTube. You were sort of an early success of YouTube. What possessed you to get on YouTube in the first place?
Oh man, well it was a hobby of mine actually that just kind of turned into something more. I just would go onto the internet to rant about things that I couldn't talk to like friends or family about because they were all very religious and conservative. So I just kind of used the internet as an outlet to vent. Yeah. And people started listening.
So for the people that don't know you at all, so you're an atheist. That's what sort of got you, that sort of was your claim to fame or something, or a skeptic or something. We're going to get into some of that stuff, but tell me a little bit more about what it's like growing up as a conservative, having sort of these other feelings, and then going to the internet to express them.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I grew up very conservative and very religious. I went to a Catholic school from kindergarten through my senior year in high school. And actually, after I graduated high school, in college, I became even more religious. So that was a very interesting, slow, painful transition for me. But actually, whenever I started making videos, I was making videos as a Christian. But I had these ideas that didn't go along with like the Christian traditions. So I would say things like, this was before, gay marriage was legalized. So I would say things like, as a Christian, I think people should have equal rights. And I just at the time, that was like such a, controversial statement.
Right.
Now it's more accepted. But whenever I started making videos, like that was just not something that you said, especially to my family.
Yeah.
So it's, it's changed now.
How did your family take it that you started putting these videos out there? Did they know any of your sort of evolving feelings as you were putting this out on the internet?
Yeah, we would have some conversations. Like, I remember whenever I first started talking about equal rights, that was kind of a hot button issue for some people. But they didn't know that I was on the internet. I kept that to myself. That was like my dirty little secret. It was my safe little, the internet was oddly my safe place.
Yeah, so the most public place ever was your private place.
But the thing is, no one was really watching me. Like, no one, cared what I had to say. So it was just, I had like a small group of people that I felt like I could relate to, and it was a community for me. I wasn't doing it to get viewers or anything like that. I was doing it to talk to friends and find people who would agree with me because I didn't have that in my personal life.
Yeah.
And I kind of kept it as a secret. I was in medical school at the time, and I didn't tell any of my classmates, and I didn't tell any of my family, and then it kind of just started picking up momentum, and people started finding me, and I was mortified.
It's kind of funny that to be in medical school and have to kind of keep it a secret that you're an atheist or a skeptic or questioning.
Well,
I mean, it seems like that would be pretty okay in medical school.
There's no way that they would have been cool with things I was saying in my videos, though. I was very opinionated, and I would use profanities and make sex jokes and all of those things. So there's no way that my very professional school would have been like, it's okay that you're doing this. So I just kind of was, but pretty stupid because I used my name as my channel. So, whatever.
Was it the gay rights thing? Was that the first thing that sort of woke you up out of whatever the religious dogma was?
Yeah, that was the first thing that got me questioning the, traditional values of the Bible. I was just like, well, maybe, but I slowly moved away from it. I was like, maybe God's cool with this. Maybe I'll just call myself an agnostic, not even really knowing what that is, and slowly like move away. Like maybe I'm not Catholic, maybe I'm Protestant, and then I just kind of slowly stepped back. Maybe I'm just a deist. Maybe there's just something out there, and then I was like, eventually I landed here.
Yeah.
But it was a very slow thing because I didn't want to be an atheist. I wanted to be religious. Like, it was something that I grew up with that was important to me, important to my family. I felt like it was core to my being. And it's nice to think that there's someone out there, or there's an afterlife, or, you know, that when you die, it's not all gone. It's comforting to have that. So I didn't want to let it go, but I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's knock out, I know we did this way back when on my show, before you had your natural hair color that you have now.
Yeah, this is my natural color, totally.
You were dyeing it, I believe, brown at the time. It's nice to see the natural color.
It's
good. Let's just define some of the terms, which I know we've done together before.
Sure.
So you mentioned, well, obviously atheist, agnostic, and deist. Let's just go through each one.
Okay, well, a deist is someone who just believes in a god, and they don't put a label on it, like they're not a Christian god or a Muslim god or anything. It's just like, there is a being out there that I can look up to and pray to and is watching over me. It just doesn't have like the organized religion part of it or any set of rules. It's just like a broad, like, there is a God thing up there somewhere.
Can it be there is a something out there? Because I think that's where probably most people, if you really, believers and non-believers, if you really whittled them down, I think there's a huge chunk of people that would just be like, there's something. There's something.
Yeah.
Maybe not watching me and judging me and all that stuff.
Yeah, they just believe that there is more, and that is, you know, comforting, and it's harder to debunk that kind of thing because, you know, with Christianity you can look at specific parts of the Bible and be like, well, that's not true because, you know, facts. But whenever you just say I'm a deist and there's like a thing that there's no definition to, you know, it's more difficult to, you know, ask those types of like very specific questions, so it's easier to believe and more comforting, I think, for some people. Also, it doesn't come with a lot of the negativity that specific religions might have. So there's that. But agnostic is another word that gets thrown around a lot. And that's, I mean, I identify as an agnostic still. But people kind of make the mistake in thinking that agnostic can be a position of belief. And that's where I think the confusion is. Because the root of the word agnostic is gnostic, which means knowledge. So to say that you're agnostic just means you don't have knowledge, which everybody should admit to. Like, if you're being intellectually honest, like, no one knows the facts of what happens after you die. Like, there's just, you know, no one's died legitimately and come back and been like, yeah, I met God, he's a cool dude. Yeah. People claim to. They lie. And, you know, it's funny because there's a lot of like, there was a story of a boy who said that he died and came back and then later admitted to all of that being fake just for the book sales. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of people who claim to know, but no one actually knows. So if we're being completely honest, everyone should be agnostic, whether you believe in God or you don't, because, you know, you can believe in something without having like concrete evidence. You know what I mean?
Well, that's sort of the point of belief, right? I mean, you're choosing to believe in something that you can't prove.
Right. So
you're taking that leap of faith.
Everyone should say they're agnostic because no one has the knowledge. But if you're talking about whether or not you believe something, that's where the word theist comes in. So you can be a theist and believe in these things, or an atheist and not. But agnostic should apply to everyone, hopefully.
Right. So you put these videos out there, you start talking about this stuff. When did the family realize what you were doing, those naughty things that you were doing on the YouTube?
Probably a good year and a half into me doing it. It took a little while. I think it came as a shock because I was living in Florida at the time, and I decided to, I was very unhappy with my life for a bunch of different reasons, and I decided to make the move to California with my very small YouTube following and try to pursue that. And I think at that point they were like, wait, with your what? And then I had to have that conversation, which was weird, which led to them looking up my videos, which caused some problems.
Yeah, so what was that like?
You know, it was just really hard for them because they took my positions and my beliefs, or my lack thereof, as a personal attack on them. Like they had failed somehow in raising me, that I didn't hold on to my faith, or that I thought they were stupid for having it. Which wasn't the case. I was just talking about my feelings and why I didn't agree with certain things and why certain people who are very religious do things that I don't ethically agree with. And they took that as an insult to them, saying that I think you're stupid. And that's never the message I wanted to or want to send.
How do you talk about these things without doing that? You know, because I think there's a lot of, you know, my audience is, I think, all over the map, you know, in terms of belief and lack of belief and all that. I really don't know, actually. But I get emails from plenty of atheists and plenty of Christian conservatives and Muslims and Jews and everybody. And I find that there's a certain set of the atheist community that does this thing where they are making it seem like if you're not an atheist, that you're just an idiot. Like, that all the believers are idiots. Yeah. How do you avoid that? And maybe you don't all the time.
You know,
and I'm sure I don't all the time.
You know, it depends on two things. It depends on the person, you know, in the video, and it depends on the person watching the video. For me, for example, when I first started, I was much more angry at things, and I was more along the lines of a person that you would think is judging you. And I've made an effort over the years to change that. I think I've calmed down a lot and realized that maybe aggression isn't the best approach for these types of things. I mean, I still do get fired up about certain things, but I don't attack it as hard as I used to. And I think it also depends on the person watching, because you can choose to view a person simply asking questions and get offended. Like if I sit in a video and I could be as calm and collected and kind as I want to be and just be like, you know, this thing doesn't make sense to me, and I wonder this, and I, you know, ask this and that question, people sometimes get mad at even questioning their beliefs, and they take that as a personal attack. So if you can view another person going through their own, you know, mental process and of like figuring things out and sorting out their own ideas, and if you can separate your views from their views and understand that this is just their experience and not take it personally, that's way more effective. But some people just take any disagreement with them, even if it's your own, as an attack on them, which is really sad.
Yeah, we seem to be suffering that in like every part of society, right? Like just everyone.
Everything.
You say anything, everyone feels like it's like a personal attack.
Triggered.
When the truth really is that you know, we're all sort of evolving on all sorts of things. That's really the point of having a human brain, I think.
Yeah, I mean, people do want to live in an echo chamber, but I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah.
I like to surround myself with people that have different thoughts and opinions than me, because otherwise I would never grow as a person. And over the years, I've changed a lot.
You actually, I can't quite explain what I'm trying to say at the moment, but you do seem a little different to me. Like you seem a little more like confident or something.
I mean,
I mean that in the best sense, like.
Yeah,
something.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of years. We've evolved.
I think what it is I'm more just settled in my beliefs. You know, I don't need necessarily to get angry about them or, you know, rant about them all the time. I just kind of know that that's who I am, and I let that kind of guide my life. And sometimes it comes out in videos, and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
Do you get sick of talking about the atheist stuff?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. I think what it is like, you know, there's only so many times and so many different ways you can say, I'm not religious. This is a thing I don't believe.
Right.
But, you know, even like, you know, recently with Trump, he brings up religion a lot, and he talks about the war on Christmas. And it's like, there's always something coming up in politics that relates to religion. Yeah. So it's very easy for me to continue talking about it, not necessarily directly in a video being like, I don't believe in God, but you can make a video talking about how religion is affecting politics and the world in a certain way that maybe you disagree with or wish were different. So that's kind of a way that I can continue talking about it without driving myself nuts.
Yeah. What do you make of like the sort of broader skeptic community in general? Because there's a lot of skeptics on YouTube. Yeah. And I see a lot of infighting these days.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's so sad, because we are so few in number that the infighting is, you know, not productive. Well,
what does that mean to you? If I say skeptic community, what does that even mean to you?
Well, that's another thing. I feel like the skeptic community has changed also a lot over the years, whereas like a couple of years ago, it was very heavily focused on atheism. And now it's social justice or anti-social justice warriors. Yeah. So that's kind of where the conversation has shifted, and I think that it makes sense.
How do you think that happened? Because I do see a lot of that too. It's like they were always talking about the God stuff and religion and all that, and then just in these last couple of years, and obviously I talk about it a lot here too, something did shift where they became sort of the leaders of the anti-SJW stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because you can be skeptical of more than just religion. And it's a reflection of, you know, the society that we're in. Right now, the super PC culture has kind of affected us in a way that has caused a backlash. I mean, you see it even in like South Park.
Yeah.
Like there's just this conversation about these just really ridiculous people who are just so offended at everything, and you're like walking on eggshells constantly. And it's gotten to the point where this just victim mentality has taken over so many people, and it's very frustrating to see happen. So I think, the skeptic community reacting to that is just kind of a natural response to what's going on around us. And I think it's good. I think it's a good conversation to have, but I tend to stick more with the religion stuff still.
Yeah.
But I do talk about social justice.
Is there anything you don't like about the skeptic community?
The infighting that you said, that kind of makes me sad because it can get so vicious. But like, if you look at the core of what a lot of these people believe, it is similar. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wish, I'm so idealistic. I wish we could all just work together for a common good, because honestly, there aren't a lot of people out there asking these questions. There aren't a lot of skeptics. A lot of people just kind of accept things, or they don't think about things at all.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to be outspoken, and I wish there were more people that were willing to go on the internet and like face the criticism that you get with being skeptical of things and criticizing things and thinking, in ways that might be offensive to people, not caring. But the few people that are willing to do that, it's a little sad to see constant fighting. Yeah.
Do you think some of the fighting is just the nature of YouTube? I mean, we're doing YouTube week this week where I tried to pick people that I think are doing interesting, cool stuff. But there's so much of it where it's like, I could love 99% of what Jaclyn Glenn does, but she said one thing, and now I have to make a video about it, and I got to make 20 other people get angry about it so I can get clicks. Yeah. Like, it becomes this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, or this monster that just keeps eating itself.
That is the nature of YouTube. Drama gets views.
Yeah.
So if there is a controversy somewhere, it pays literally to indulge in that. And also, people do have a hard time separating, like, if there is like this, like you said, if I agree with 99% of what somebody says, and they say one thing I don't like, I have to hate that person.
Right.
But why do you have to hate that person because of one thing they said that you don't like? Just be like, okay, yeah, we're not the same human. No one's the same.
Is there anyone you agree with 100%? I find the phrase all the time I'm hearing, I don't agree with him 100%.
No.
To me, it's the most idiotic thing ever. I've never met someone I agree with 100%, and I including myself.
You don't agree with yourself 100% of the time?
No, I don't. Sometimes I'm not exactly, I change.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I mean, there are people that I look up to and really respect, and I think they're brilliant, but there are times where they say something and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I think that. And I think that's healthy. Like, you don't want to just go along with everything a person says just because you like that person, but you don't have to hate that person because you don't agree with everything they say.
Yeah.
People don't understand that.
How do you deal with the hate?
I mean, I'm used to it. I've been doing this for so long that I'm just used to people not liking me, and that's fine.
Do you remember when you the first video that you did that you really got hate for?
Oh yeah.
What was that?
The first video that I made. I mean, you can make
that
a
worked
video.
Out nicely.
You can make a video talking about I love kittens and puppies, and someone will comment, calling you a whore.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it goes. I don't care. I mean, it's the internet. Like, and it's funny because if you click on most of these people's profiles, it's a blank. There's not a profile picture. There's no videos. There's nothing behind this random username of like letters and numbers that mean nothing. Like, it's easy to hide behind the internet and be like hateful. But at the end of the day, like, that person just wants to get a reaction out of you. And if you don't give it to them, they go away.
Yeah. But did you always have that enlightened view of it, or did it used to be personal?
I don't think I can't really remember a time where it's ever affected me. Like, I think the only time it's difficult is whenever you're going through something that's personal and people en masse kind of come at you and they don't let you move past like a difficult time in your life because they're very invasive in your personal life, which is a fault of my own sometimes because I allow that to happen. But
you're giving me a hell of a segue to the next question.
Oh,
here,
okay.
As long as we're talking about your personal life.
Okay, go for it.
So you're involved in a pretty public breakup.
Yeah.
In the last what?
Which
month and a half or so? I don't know, how many breakups are you involved in right now?
Well, no, I mean, I've had 2 public like falling outs.
Right.
So, but the most recent one was the worst for sure.
Yeah. So your boyfriend Richie, who's also, or your your ex-boyfriend. Your ex-boyfriend Richie, who's also a YouTuber and public, Twitter person and all that stuff.
Twitter person.
I met him one night when we saw each other about a year and a half ago or so. Seemed like a nice guy for the little 2 minutes that we interacted.
Actually, that wasn't him.
Wait, that wasn't him?
No.
Well, I don't know who you were with that night. Boy, we're really...
that's okay.
We're doing it now. Okay, well.
Sorry.
Well, whoever the hell... That was a fine fella.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell him.
Well, putting that aside for a moment.
That's really funny.
Okay, wait, so just give me a little of this story here. Because I always think it's interesting when YouTubers, I know a couple YouTubers that are dating other YouTubers, these people that sort of come together, and then
Well, it's so hard. It's so hard because, I don't go out. I don't go out a lot. And whenever I do go out and do things, it's normally an event that I am supposed to be at for networking purposes, or I need to speak on a panel or go to a convention that's about YouTube. And I find myself normally, the majority of my social interactions are around other people that do what I do. So, people go out to bars and meet people, or they meet people at the workplace. This is how I've met most of my friends. And that's kind of how I meet guys sometimes. And it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks because YouTube is a very everyone's dated everyone and everyone's dated everyone's ex. And it's just a very weird thing. So I in my head, every single time I'm I'm never doing this again. But then what do? You meet a person and you're like, well, shit, here we go.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys were together for
a year.
A year.
Yeah.
How did the breakup end up being so public?
Well, okay.
I'm only asking you this because you have made videos about this.
So many,
yeah.
Well, the thing is we had a very public relationship. All of it was very public from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And that was kind of his doing. He wanted to he wanted to make videos, and a lot of his videos were my girlfriend does this, or doing this with my girlfriend. And it's just, I think the purpose behind that was whenever you put things like that in titles, it gets more views because people are very interested in personal lives and relationships and things like that on the internet. So if you display that, you do get more views. That's not a thing I ever did on my channel.
Yeah.
I had him in videos, but it was never my boyfriend does this thing. It was just we commenting on the same thing together at the same time.
Yeah. Are you subtly telling me that you think he was using you for clicks in a certain way?
I didn't say that.
Well, you subtly said it.
I said that the relationship was very public because of that. Mm-hmm. And that ended up making people very invested in our relationship.
Yeah.
Because his fan base is younger than mine because I do more commentary on things that appeal to an older audience, but his fan base was very young and a lot of girls, and they get very excited about oh my gosh, this person I like is dating this person I like, and it became this thing, and they kind of idolized our relationship a little bit. And they would make fan accounts on Instagram or Twitter and just post photos of us and YouTube videos. It was just it was insane. And, whenever it ended, I just kind of felt not only had I been duped, but everyone who was invested in our relationship had been kind of lied to as well. Mm-hmm. So that made me feel obligated to kind of be honest about what happened. See, I was lied to, you guys were lied to.
So how were you lied to exactly?
Well, he had been involved with several other people during our relationship. So, it kind of leaves you feeling like it wasn't real.
Right.
So that's kind of where I ended up feeling, and I'm just screw it.
Yeah, and then you were sort of pinned into a corner where it's I got to make a YouTube video about this. That's why I think the whole ecosystem of YouTube, and especially when these people are dating each other, it's so interesting how it all becomes, in some ways, accidentally public, I think, for someone like you. And
I was in a dilemma. I'm okay, I can be vague about this and not really address it. But the thing is I'm a very public person. I live stream every single day. And I'm very involved with my audience, and they ask a lot of questions, and in the small amount of time that after we broke up and before I talked about why we broke up, people were attacking me because he was posting sad statuses I'm alone and sad, and people were what did you do? What did you do to make him sad? And I'm oh fuck, you gotta be kidding me, I was pissed. Yeah. Because I'm what, are you serious right now? And and then people would be asking me why, what happened, what did I feel okay, if I don't talk about this, I'm never, ever going to hear the end of it. People are always going to wonder what I did, and I don't feel like I deserve that, you know? Because I'm the one who got screwed over here. I absolutely refuse to take heat for this, you know? So that's kind of why I was public. And also, like, I think it's good. I think it's good to be honest about what you're going through, because, like, I needed to like, step back a little bit, and people wouldn't really understand why unless they knew that I was kind of struggling, and I can't just, like, smile and make a video whenever I feel like shit. You know, I can't fake it. So I needed to be honest.
So basically, it's sort of therapy in a way. Like talking to the camera in a certain respect is what used to be sitting in a chair and talking to a stranger with a pad. Yeah.
I do find YouTube very therapeutic. Like, you know, the reason why I'm even doing YouTube is because I initially turned to the internet to, like, talk about things that were important to me that I couldn't talk to, you know, with people in my life. So it's kind of still partially that, which is cool.
And you do open up about a lot of things. I just watched this video you did on ayahuasca.
Yeah.
So you did ayahuasca just recently, right? Like
it was
last couple weeks?
No, it wasn't. The video I posted was in the last couple of weeks, but it was a couple months ago that I did that.
Okay, so I've been on Joe Rogan's show a couple of times. He's a big promoter of ayahuasca. I've been thinking about it. And I kind of want to try it. I know many people that have tried it. I have a friend that's like on his way to becoming a shaman and the whole thing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, can you just tell me a little bit about the experience and how you did it and the whole thing?
Well, I did it as an episode with my series that I had with Fullscreen. It was called The Skeptic's Guide to Wellness.
Yeah.
And so we were basically trying different things that people would use to heal themselves. Some of it was pseudoscientific, and some of it was, you know, just really out there. And then there was the ayahuasca episode.
What were some of the other things before we get to the ayahuasca?
Well, we did crystal healing, which was really funny. I actually went to a coven of witches, and they taught me how to make spells and things like that.
Oh, and did any of the spells work?
No.
What do they say when you tell them your spells don't work?
Well, they don't know that yet, because they gave me a little potion thing to take home, and it was a fun day. It was very interesting, a very interesting experience. I also did cryotherapy, which was torture because I don't like the cold.
Yeah. What is cryotherapy supposed to do for you? Like you get in like a freezing chamber, right?
Yeah.
What is it supposed to actually do for you?
It is supposed to. It does do this. It increases your adrenaline, and it gives you that like fight or flight response because your body literally thinks it's dying. And also, it's supposed to do things like freeze the outside of your skin and like exfoliate and do things like that. And it's kind of like, you know, whenever you have like muscle swelling, you put on an ice pack. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to like have a similar effect, but I don't know. I didn't have the greatest experience with that. Uh-huh. But ayahuasca, I did have a good experience.
Yeah. So tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, it was weird because I've never taken a drug. Like I've never ever like done a hallucinogen before. I don't really do drugs, so this was a bizarre experience. I was really scared going into it.
What a crazy one to jump in first.
I know,
do you smoke weed?
I have before, yeah.
Yeah.
But I still, not even very often.
Yeah, but you hadn't done mushrooms or anything else in that realm?
No.
Wow.
No, nothing like that. I was okay with it until the day before. The producer came up to me and he's like, okay, we're going to be filming you overnight. So just, pack, comfortable clothes and an extra pair of underwear and you'll be fine. I'm like, wait, what? An extra pair of underwear? And they're like, yeah, well, sometimes people, when they take ayahuasca, you do throw up a lot and sometimes people shit their pants and you just might want to have extra pants. I'm like, excuse me? I didn't know that. I'm like, I really would rather not shit my pants.
On video?
I didn't, by the way. I did not shit my pants, just to make that very clear.
Duly noted.
But that,
we'll put that in the description.
Okay, Jaclyn did not shit her pants.
Yeah.
But hearing that, I was like, well, I felt confident about doing this until that. I'm like, how sick is this going to make me exactly? And the answer was it made me pretty sick. Not that sick, but I did throw up quite a bit.
Yeah. So just tell me about the whole experience from beat one.
Well, I met the shaman, and he was very experienced. He had told me that he has done several of these. And there was actually a period of time where he did ayahuasca himself for 90 days in a row, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah. Where was this? Are you not supposed to say?
I'm not supposed to say where it was.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Well, I know a lot of people leave. You don't have to answer, but I know a lot of people actually leave the country to do it. Well, you can obviously do it.
Because we're we're not, the legality is questionable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was this like little shot that I took at first, and it was really gross. And I didn't feel anything for a little while, but then I felt really nauseous and I just threw up.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get a lot out of it. So I did another shot, and I like went into this really negative, dark place where like the room was spinning, and I felt like I was losing my mind. I couldn't focus on anything for more than like a second. I couldn't hold on to a thought, so I felt like I was literally losing my mind, going crazy.
Yeah.
And I was dizzy. You know how you feel whenever you're like at a party and you drink too much, and then the party's over and you don't really want to be that drunk anymore, and you're starting to feel sick and the room is spinning, but like there's nothing you can do. I just felt like I was in that limbo for a long time, and it sucked. And then after I went through that, which felt like forever, I kind of lost track of time. I didn't really have a sense of time, which was weird.
And there's a camera crew.
Yeah, there was a camera crew
Watching you do this. And did you set up any rules, like if I start puking or pooping or screaming or anything, we're going to stop taping, or I might need some help, or?
Well, they had a medic there in case like something very serious happened.
Yeah.
But nothing did. I was okay. I did throw up quite a bit, but after I went through that like really dark phase, I just all of a sudden felt okay, and I thought maybe I'm normal, maybe that's it. And I wanted to check my phone, so I asked them if I could look at my phone really quick, because I had people that were like really worried about me, because I told like a couple people, I'm like, I'm so nervous about this. So they were like, are you okay? Have you died yet? I'm like, no, I'm fine. So I wanted to like, tell people that I was okay, so I looked at my phone, and like that's when I was like, oh my God, I am so tripping right now. Because I opened it up, and like all of the letters on the keyboard were just like coming out in like waves, and like it was just bizarre. And then like things started moving, and then I started hallucinating, which was really cool. I started seeing like snakes, and the shaman told me I would see snakes, which I thought would be scary, but they were like really nice, cute, friendly snakes, and like giant ones like all around me, and like they're beautiful colors, like all colors of the rainbow. The big one was like red and blue, and it was like I was aware that I was hallucinating. Like I know that's not real, but that's really fucking cool that my brain can make this thing. So that was...
For people that don't know anything about this, what's the shaman's actual role? Like, why are you doing it with the shaman?
Well, the purpose of my show was about wellness and seeing, these different things that people use for healing purposes. And the shaman was there, and he made it very clear that ayahuasca is a medicine, not a drug. He got very mad whenever I said I was going to do drugs. He's like, no, you're taking a medicine. So I think the purpose of him being there was because it was part of a ceremony. It was supposed to be a spiritual experience. And if you're just taking ayahuasca, by yourself to trip, then it's not really that. So he was supposed to be there to kind of guide me, and there was like there was chanting and meditation and stuff that he would do, and so it was supposed to be like this all-encompassing like experience that would bring me to some kind of spiritual revelation.
Yeah. All right. So you go through the puking. You can't focus on anything. All that. Then you sort of have this nice peaceful moment.
Yeah.
The snakes aren't real. They're not bad, at least.
Yeah.
Then what?
There was like this, there's like this fuzzy carpet too that I was like in, and it just felt like amazing. Anyways, I was like seeing all kinds of different things and shapes and colors, and it was really cool. And the snake was like wrapped around me, and it was like coming out of my drink that I was like trying to like drink through this. It was really weird. But then like I lay down and I closed my eyes, and I was imagining that this snake is like me. And every person that I interact with, it like, like wraps around my arm and like touches that person, and that they have the same essence. So it's kind of like you're like your subconscious, like reaching out and getting to know people. And then I was imagining people in my life that have been like negative and hurtful to me, and like how this essence would just kind of like recoil back in pain every time I would have like a hurtful experience with someone. And it was just weird. I'm like, okay, so this is like, I'm like trying to rationalize what's going on. I'm like, okay, so this is like my subconscious telling me that I need to be more careful with who I interact with, because people hurt me. And like I felt like maternal towards this like little pet snake thing. I'm like, okay, I need to give a shit more about myself.
Yeah.
So that it was a really cool experience. And I don't know if you want to call that spiritual, but maybe that is what spirituality is, because I was self-reflecting, and I kind of did walk away with a lesson that I did not expect, because I was very like, this isn't going to work, this is going to be stupid, but it did.
So as a skeptic and an atheist and all that stuff, when you have a spiritual experience like this, does that challenge any of those notions that you held beforehand?
No, I mean, like, I didn't find God or anything like that, but it made me think differently about myself.
If someone did it with you, and they said to you after, I found God in this, an atheist that you're good, you're friends with, and they said, we just had the same experience, but I found God. What do you think you would make of that?
Do you, man? I'm not gonna tell anybody that they're wrong. Like, that's not really my style. I might personally disagree, or maybe I didn't have the same experience, so I don't get it. But I think spirituality is different than like religion. Like, I think you can have, if you wanna like label, self-reflecting and realizing something about you as spirituality, then I guess you can say I did have a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean religious.
Yeah. Do you do anything else to have a spiritual side? There's a book right there by Sam Harris, Waking Up, which is
I have that.
Yeah, a guide to spirituality without religion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you partake in any of those? Well, I guess you did ayahuasca. There you go. That's pretty good.
I did ayahuasca. I've tried meditation before because I have anxiety. So I have tried, relaxing and things like that. But I'm not really big into that kind of stuff. It just doesn't really do it for me. But the ayahuasca was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it again?
No.
Really?
I don't think so.
How come?
I don't know. I don't. It was a little scary at first. Like, the good part was great, but the stuff leading up to that was so horrible that I don't think I want to relive it.
Yeah.
People have told me that there are other ways to achieve the good without all the puking.
Yeah.
So maybe
Such as what?
Like maybe mushrooms, or like, I don't know. People have had bad experiences with that too. So I don't really know, but there was a lot of puking, and I would really rather not do that.
Do you ever think sometimes that, like, just to be a functional human, there's only so many doors of the brain that you want to open? Like, I did a lot of that. So I did mushrooms and a bunch of other stuff when I was younger.
Good experiences?
Mushrooms, great. I did mushrooms probably maybe 10 or 12 times,
Any
mostly
puking?
around college. No, I never puked on mushrooms.
Okay,
I had
try
great spiritual experiences and great bonding things with friends and listening to music and wandering in the nature preserve and like all wonderful things. I did do acid once.
How was that?
And it was a nightmare.
Okay.
I hated every second of it. Maybe I had some bad stuff, but it's funny you mentioned snakes. I was seeing snakes in the ground, but they were evil snakes. They were like coming up out of the ground.
Bad
and, like,
snakes.
Bad snakes.
Okay.
Yeah, bad snakes.
Smack them on the head.
Yeah, there's something about snakes. There's some religious element of something with snakes and a tree and something, right?
What? Apples? I don't know.
Yeah.
Fruits?
But do you think about that like maybe to be a functional person you can only open so many doors of the mind?
I really don't want to say that. I don't know. I don't want to say that you should ever not learn more about yourself or learn more about what you can experience. I think that's really cool. And I would never say don't expand your mind, don't further educate yourself, don't have new experiences. Because I think, obviously if you do a lot of drugs, that might not be great for your brain, but I don't know. I don't want to say that you shouldn't open all the doors.
Yeah. So I was thinking before I had you on today that for all the old shows that we used to do, as I said before, it was a little more about current events and pop culture and all that stuff. And we did probably, I don't know, you were probably on the show maybe 10 or 15 times or something like that, that I actually don't think I know that much about your political views, everything being equal. What do you consider yourself politically?
Oh, man. I've been thinking about this a lot lately.
All right, good.
Because, I just, for so long, I would just say I'm extremely liberal.
Yeah.
And I would stick to that because I did have very liberal viewpoints on things like, equality with, rights with people, and even healthcare. I'm into universal healthcare. I think everyone should have that. I want, drugs to be legalized, things like that. I normally have very liberal standpoints on things. But I feel like recently, liberal has changed into something that pisses me off. Very liberal people can, they're ridiculous. It's that whole social justice thing. They're too far to the, now I'm well, I don't even feel like I can identify with that anymore. I still have the same viewpoints on things like healthcare and equal rights and, women's rights and all that stuff, but I don't feel like I can say that I'm very liberal because that means something different now that I don't that I don't like.
I don't know if you've been watching the Rubin Report the last couple of years.
What is that show?
We've been talking about that.
Is that a good show?
Just a little bit.
Should I check it out?
You probably should watch
Okay.
it. Yeah, I think you dig it.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think something happened, like your beliefs? It doesn't sound like changed that much.
No,
but
I think
that thing,
the
that
spectrum
monster.
around me has shifted, and now I almost. Well, I just want to say that I'm moderate.
Yeah.
Like I feel more comfortable identifying as that.
Yeah. As someone that talks to the camera and is public and all that, have you found there's any tolerance on that side, that very, as you're describing, very liberal side? I would say it's basically the antithesis of liberalism, actually.
Yeah.
But do you find any tolerant people on that side? Because I'm trying to find them.
I'm struggling to find tolerant people in general.
Yeah.
It seems like no matter what I say, I piss off people. You know, it doesn't matter what I say. I'm never, you know, I'm either too far to the left for people on the right, or I'm too far to the right for people on the left. So there's just not a lot of people that are kind of more middle of the road. And if you are, they're maybe silent. But I feel like I just get a lot of hate from both sides, and I'm just like, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah. How do religious people react to you? I'm not talking about your family, but
Yeah.
in general, because I get a lot of emails. You know, I
Yeah.
bring on a lot of atheists here, and as I said, I also bring on believers and whatever it is. But I get a lot of emails from Christian conservatives saying that they've never seen just people not judge them endlessly, which might sound a little ironic or backwards or whatever.
No,
but I think
get
it's one
that.
of the reasons that they like what I do here, and,
Right.
and I try to be respectful about people that maybe think a
Yeah.
little differently than me.
That's
do,
awesome.
do you get any Christian conservatives or any people
A
from
lot.
that walk of life that reach out to you and be like, you're not all that bad?
A lot. It's really great. And that's a relatively new thing for me, because when I started out, like I said, I used to be way more aggressive and way more angry. But recently, I've mellowed out a lot. And I think I have been a better example, at least, of how you can be an atheist and not hateful and not judgmental of people who are religious, and kind and accepting, and a person that does have morals, which is shocking for some people, like, hey, you're an atheist and you have morals? So I feel like my position has changed, you know, instead of being like, I'm anti-religious, to being more, I'm pro-atheist. Like, this is why atheism is cool, instead of like, this is why religion is bad.
Yeah.
So people who are religious can watch me, and instead of feeling attacked, they're like, oh, okay, I can see why, you know, she as an atheist has morals and things like that. And I think part of that got started whenever when I did the Jesse Lee Peterson show. He has this show called The Fallen State, and I did this interview with him. He's a pastor, and he was just pretty horrible to me. The first thing he said to me whenever I got on the show was, "You don't look like an atheist." And I'm like, "What do you think an atheist? What do you think an atheist looks like?" He's like, "I don't know, Satan."
Yeah, horns,
okay.
definitely horns. Yeah.
All right, cool. And this was for his like religious show. And I was just very nice to him. I tried to answer all of his questions, and you know, I think, and then I posted that on my channel, and it did really well. And I think that brought a lot of religious people to me, saying, "I don't think he treated you right. You know, you handled yourself well." And you know, I think that because of that video, I got a lot of people who were religious that stuck around, because they saw that I could be respectful even in the face of somebody who was pretty horrible to me.
What does that tell you about the way tolerance is working these days? Because we're both agreeing that we're getting a certain amount of tolerance from the people that the media would have you believe are the most intolerant. I simply don't believe it.
Right.
And yet there isn't a lot of tolerance the other way. It's kind of an interesting place to be in.
It is. I think that the problem is that a lot of the loudest voices are the meanest. So whenever you have people that are a little bit more in the middle and more tolerant of people that are different than them, it's hard to gain as much traction, maybe because it's not as controversial. You're not going to get as much attention. But if you manage to do so, like you have, and like I did with that video and a few others, I think it brings out the silent majority. And then you start realizing that, you know, even though it does seem like there's so much hate out there, maybe that's just because they're the loudest voices. And there are a lot of people out there that are more tolerant and understanding, and there's a lot of good people that we just don't see.
Yeah, and that's also partly internet culture, because it's like people don't wander around in real life saying these hateful things to people all day long. They sit at their computer and they type about them all day long.
Exactly. That's like the hate. They're behind a screen name, and that's it.
you mentioned you have morals. You
Right,
atheist with morals.
Yeah.
So I did a show about 6 or 8 months ago with Michael Shermer, who's a skeptic,
Okay.
his book's over there, and
Yeah.
with Dennis Prager, who's a believer, and his book's over there.
I did an interview with Michael Shermer not too long ago.
Oh, did you? So
Yeah.
Michael is a great guy. He's
Yeah.
going to be on again in a couple weeks, and,
Awesome.
and he's a good friend. And we talked about, basically, we had a great conversation about, in effect, morality and belief. So where do you think so Dennis's argument basically is that his morals, they come from something. In this case, he's a believer and believes in the Bible.
Right.
As an atheist,
I
where do you, right, so I could have had you, if Michael
Yeah.
had stepped out that day,
Yeah.
but you know what, I'd be happy to host a conversation with you and somebody else on that.
Okay.
But where do you, as an atheist, believe that your morals actually come from?
Same place everybody else's morals come from. A lot of people, religious people think that, oh, my morals come from the Bible, because that's what they've been taught to believe, that's where you get your basis for good and bad. But it's not, because there's a lot of really, really shitty things in the Bible that good Christian people don't adhere to. And with what sense of morality do they weed out the bad parts, right?
So they're not out there stoning people
Right?
these days. Yeah.
You don't see them stoning people. And with what sense of morality do they decide that that's a bad thing in the Bible? So clearly, they're not just using the Bible, because if they did, we would be living in a very different world for morality. That would be scary.
Yeah.
I'm glad people aren't using the Bible as their basis for morality, because there'd be a lot more people in jail, there'd be a lot more crime. Stoning, for example. But I feel like it is a secular morality that people steal from, and they credit the Bible where it's not, where it doesn't deserve credit. Like, I mean, if you grow up in a society where it's bad to stone people, you're going to learn that it's bad to stone people. Some people just have that inherent sense of morality, or it's a secular morality, or it's just a product of the society that you're raised in.
Yeah. So one of the things that I thought was most interesting about that discussion was that Dennis was saying to Michael that on a micro level, you as an atheist can be very moral. He said, he has no doubt that at the micro level,
tiny little morality that.
Meaning that he meant basically that the person that he's sitting across from, in this case Michael, he has no doubt that he himself is a moral person and all that.
Okay.
But what his argument was basically, and I don't want to totally put words in his mouth, what basically was that at a macro level, for a society to function, that there aren't enough strong underpinnings for secular morality to actually stand the test of time. That was basically his argument. I sense you're not buying that argument.
No, I mean, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if we got rid of the Bible, would people go out and start stoning people? I don't think so. If you knew, if religious people could be told without a shadow of doubt right now that there was no God, would they change? Would they go out and start pillaging in the streets? No, they wouldn't. And again, like I said, if people actually did adhere to the morality in the Bible, it would not be a pretty world.
Yeah. Do you find you have any moral quandaries, like something like abortion, for example? I don't know where you stand on that, but
I'm pro-choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I feel like I've thought through things, and I know where I stand and what I would do, and yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sound in where I feel for things, yeah.
Yeah. Are there any topics that you're still trying to wade and kind of figure out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think everyone has things that they're not 100, I just like basic things in life, like how do you handle things, like maybe forgiveness is a difficult one. Like if someone really hurts you, to forgive is divine or something.
Something like that.
To err is human, is forgive is divine.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one that I struggle with,
Yeah.
Things like that. Everyone has certain moral dilemmas that are, unique to them.
Yeah. So since this is YouTube week, let's just we'll wrap with a little more just sort of the insider YouTube stuff. Well, first off, where were you hit hard by the demonetization stuff, and just a little bit about being a businesswoman on YouTube, because you're in business.
Demonetization sucks.
Yeah.
My videos, if I upload a video and I titled it Kittens and Puppies and there were no tags and it was literally just my cat, it would be demonetized. And it's so frustrating for me too, because with my channel, I try to talk about current events, and sometimes the topic is relevant right now. And if you wait a day or two to talk about it, the time has passed, you've missed your chance. So whenever you can appeal, the demonetization, you can like appeal and say, hey, there's no reason for this to not have ads.
This is not
Come
an
on,
alt-right
YouTube.
cat.
This is a fine video.
Yeah.
You know, for me, if I make a video live and then I try to appeal it, it could take a day or two for them to be like, okay, yeah, you're right. And I have 99% of my videos, they're like, you're right, our bad, you can have ads. But by the time they do that, it's been 2 or 3 days. And I've gotten all the views I'm going to get on that video.
Right.
So then I just make no money. And I can't wait to post it because, like I said, by the time I make it live, it's irrelevant.
I totally hear you. I
So-
mean, this happens to us all the time.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty heavily reliant on other things like Patreon, or I live stream on YouNow every day, and that's actually way more lucrative for me than YouTube.
Wait, on what?
YouNow?
No, I don't even know what that one is.
It's a live streaming platform that every day I go live for like an hour and just talk to people, and it's a lot of fun actually. I really enjoy it.
And they throw ads in front of that?
It's not ads, it's based on like tips and donations
Oh, it's
and
all
stuff. So
tips.
people can, it's like self-funded, and I have a subscription on there too, so people can pay to subscribe and get additional features and things.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's
How come you chose that instead of live streaming on YouTube?
because my YouTube channel I feel is really structured, and I don't want to like my live streams are really chill. Like it's normally just me with a glass of wine bitching about things or making jokes or talking, this is my cat. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that would really go on my channel kind of thing. And I feel like if people saw that every day, they'd be like, this isn't what I signed up for, and they'd leave.
Yeah.
So I try to have like a little bit of a separation between like these structured videos where I rant on something or talk about an issue or a topic or a specific thing versus like just hanging out and doing a Q&A every day for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other frustrations you have, like in terms of
With YouTube?
platform and any of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just the demonetization thing really does suck, and I feel like it's making it difficult for people to feel comfortable talking about things that are really important. It's kind of shifting the internet towards towards a culture of people that are more like Jake Paul kind of things, instead of people who want to like discuss important things, and it's just favoring that, which I think is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna stop doing what I do just because I want to make more money. Like that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're in too deep. It's like, what can you do at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you could. I've seen people do 180s and just change everything, but I don't think I would be happy doing that. So.
Yeah. Where do you want to go with all this? Where is Jaclyn Glenn in 10 years?
I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed doing my show, The Skeptic's Guide to Wellness. Like that was really cool. I liked.
So Full
going
Screen
out.
is no longer funding that, correct?
No, well, they shut down their app, so they don't have a platform anymore for originals, which sucks. But I feel like that was still a great thing for me because now I have this awesome thing that I can show to other places, and I would love to do something similar to that again one day.
Yeah.
just
Well, I know
like-
the guys at Library who are sponsoring our whole week, I know they reached
Yeah.
out to you, and maybe something will happen with that. So
Maybe, you never know.
You
Yeah,
never know.
I would love to continue exploring different things that people haven't tried, and debunking, or like with the ayahuasca, saying, hey, this actually works.
Yeah. So
Be
you're never
awesome.
gonna. So if I come to you in like a week and I'm like, come on, be my shaman, come on,
Go for it.
but you're not gonna be my shaman.
I won't. I mean, the shaman didn't do ayahuasca that night.
Yeah.
He just watched me do it. So if you want me to watch you trip out, I'm totally down.
You're down.
Yeah.
You're down. All right.
I'm
cool.
sure it's funny to watch. I was pretty funny. I was like, whoa, and just in the carpet, I'm like, it feels like I'm floating.
Yeah.
I would love to watch you.
Shag carpet.
Yeah, it was very fuzzy, and yeah,
Yeah.
it felt amazing.
Yeah. Well, this has been a pleasure. I'm sorry that it's been
Yeah.
so long since we did this, and I think, and just seeing your evolution has been really nice. And we will
Yeah.
do this more often than
I
once
would love
every
to.
couple of years or something
Awesome.
like that. For more on Jaclyn, you can find her right here on the YouTube. It's youtube.com/Jaclyn Glenn.